It is 6 p.m. on October 17th, 2016. I'd like to bring the Newfane Selectboard meeting to order. Welcome everybody here from the public, the board, and DCTV. Is there any additions or amendments to the agenda before we get going too far? Hearing none, we need to have a motion is to approve the minutes of October 3rd.
Approve the minutes of October 3rd.
Is there a second?
Make a motion.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded to approve the minutes as written for October 3rd, 2016. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed or abstaining? Ayes have it. Road Foreman's Road Commissioners report. The roads are in good shape. We've been around and graded rough areas. The crew's been around with the backhoe and cleaned all the culverts, especially on the back roads. And the crew's been doing a lot of handwork with the culverts as well. Brush cutting is still ongoing and will continue as long as the weather stays good. I've ordered culverts and we'll be replacing culverts soon. As far as the equipment goes, a 2011 F350 went to Coleman's truck repair for brake work and changing transmission fluid. He said the town should consider getting rid of that truck next year's budget, as it's starting to get pretty rusty up underneath. The truck itself's got 100,000 miles on it now, so. But we will be taking it to somewhere to get it fluid filmed and oiled to keep it from getting any worse. It's been oiled every year, but we are sanding down some of the dump bodies on the dump trucks, and we're going to paint those here in the next couple of days. And we'll be undercoating those trucks. We do that ourselves, shop with fluid film. That helps quite a bit. And I'll be ordering snow tires for some of the trucks here pretty soon as well. The Williamsville Hall, I have Jeff Russ coming in to shut down the Williamsville Hall November 1st. The River Road Bridge, Mark Pickering is coming up to look at River Road Bridge. He's bringing a gentleman from V-Trans with him to look at that. It has some work that needs to be done. Just wanted to go over what actually we need to do with it to keep it going for now. I know it's going to need some metal plates welded over some of the. It's got some rust holes in the I-beams that need to be fixed. And I'm going to ask him if there's any chance we can get a small structures grant out of that. We do have money in the bridge fund, but we just got notified by the state today that of 3 bridges that they just inspected that we have to sign off that what we're going to do for repairs on those 3 bridges right off. I'll be looking at those reports tomorrow with Shannon. Try to figure out what we're going to do with those 3 bridges. As far as the town garage goes, been looking for somebody to replace the 2 entrance doors as they're rusted pretty good. They're metal doors and they're pretty well rusty, and the woodwork around the doors is starting to get rotted. And the other thing that's going to happen before when they're on the town garage is screwing the roof back down again. We do that about every 3 years probably. As far as the winter sand goes, Fitzpatrick's have the sand for this year, and that is all I have.
It's a 550 back.
The 550 is back.
Hey.
Don't say it too loud.
Yeah.
Just scare it.
Okay. On the bridge, do we have any update yet from the state on where they are in the planning, permitting process
As
for
far as
repairing
which
that bridge? The Williamsville Bridge.
The
Depot Road.
Arch Bridge?
Yeah, Arch Bridge on Depot Road.
They had quite a meeting over there, like 10 or 15 people from V-Trans over there 2 weeks ago, but we haven't heard anything. We keep getting bills for it, so it's still in the works. I think if you read it here tonight, there's like a bill for $4,900 for the work that they've been doing. So it's going. It's just I'm not sure just how far yet. But it was kind of encouraging to see that there had to be at least 15 people there the other day looking at that bridge. So that to me is a good sign.
At least a lot of people are looking at it.
Right. There wasn't any tour bus there, so I'm assuming it was all V-Trans people.
And did they have tools in their truck?
No. None of them walked across it either, so. Did you have something?
I was just going to ask, what is the deadline date for the bridge repairs? The states, do they have a deadline date?
It doesn't really have, it's more of an action plan.
The action plan is due in 60 days, but the work isn't necessarily
We've
due.
had these before.
Yeah.
What we normally do with those is fill out something and then send them down to Mark Pickering so that we can get a structures grant next year. Fix a lot of them. Is there anything else? Does anyone entertain a motion?
Motion to approve?
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded to approve the road foreman's road commissioner's report. Is there any discussion? Hearing none? Oh, yeah.
Hi, Ken Esty.
Yeah.
Question, how do members of the public best communicate, questions or concerns about, Carol had brought up like, oh, there was a sign down, say if I saw a sign and it looked like, hey, that needs some look. I'll
You
look
either
in-
call the garage, leave a message if I'm not there, or give Shannon a call and she'll get a hold of me.
Okay, call the garage or call Shannon.
Yep.
Okay.
Anybody else?
If you want those two doors replaced at the town garage, the town can order them. I'll do them for $15 an hour.
You order, I don't know how to
Yeah.
do it, so
No, I'll do all
come
that.
over and take a look at it.
Yep, yep.
So I
The
know
bottoms are rotted off the sill.
The one by that's in line with the base,
Okay.
that wood's pretty rotted all around
And the
that.
water coming off the roof.
Yeah,
Okay.
that would be good.
Yep.
Anybody else? Hearing none, all those in favor of the road foreman's road commissioner's report signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed or abstaining? I am abstaining. Scheduled members of the public, Ken Robinson, Sovern Solar.
Thank you very much for the time. Well, what I'm going to do, if you don't mind, I'm going to defer to Peter. Peter's the founder and owner of Sovern Solar, and he knows a lot more about it than I do, so
Okay.
Peter Thurrell.
I made a little picture here. I don't know where
You can stand right here.
a good place to put it.
That way you can face the camera and
Can you all see it?
we
Yes.
all can sort of see it.
Graphic
There you go,
arts.
perfect.
Good. Thank you.
There you go.
Great. When people just stand here, I haven't talked to you all
If
before.
you can maybe stand over there.
I'll stand over here. That's great.
Thank you.
So my name is Peter Thurrell. I own Sovern Solar, and we're talking about the possibility of building a solar installation on the Newfane landfill. It was capped 20 odd years ago. Apparently it's sitting there in really good shape, not very much surface changes happened. We believe that we can build the project and have the revenue go to the town, which would be enough to offset all of the town's electric bill, which should be pretty positive to you. I know you're also talking with Green Lantern Capital about the same project, so in closed session we can, we can talk about the nuts and bolts of the negotiation. But what I would like to say on our behalf is we've done 13 of these already in Lincoln County in the last 3 years. We built a project up in Townsend on the Townsend landfill, which is covering their town electric bill, and it's worked out real well. I'd be happy to have you get in touch with folks up in Townsend and be able to talk about their experience of working with us. Because it's like an airplane, all their problems are in taking off and landing. And so there will be a few slips along the way taken off, and working with our office, we can smooth that out to make sure the credits get on the right accounts for y'all. And our preliminary investigation says that we can fit a 150 kilowatt installation in there, which would be the size that we would need to build in order to generate enough revenue to cover your electric bill. Because it's a capped landfill, we would have to do what's called a ballasted mount. So we would build it all on concrete blocks that'll sit on the surface of the ground, and we won't penetrate the ground. There are some questions we haven't been able to get answered yet, like whether we can penetrate the ground far enough to lay the electrical conduit underground, or whether that has to be a metal conduit above the ground. So some technical questions. Probably the biggest technical question, it'll take some engineering to figure out how heavy the concrete ballast can be in any particular place without endangering the landfill underneath it. We don't want one of the ballast to disappear down into the landfill. So there'll have to be some work done there, and probably more permitting at the state level than any of us want to imagine, to try to get the final go-ahead to do the project. If y'all have a local town-friendly engineer who'd like to help us out with a good deal on the engineering, that'll probably ensure our ability to meet your bill. That is really the only big unknown left for us. We know the cost of building it, we know we can do that, but the engineering to meet the state requirements for building on a landfill still remains an unknown number for us. If we were going to do it, we would probably be able to start at the end of winter and probably be online by midsummer. The way the net metering system works, which this would be done under net metering, is basically the system generates electricity. That electricity gets metered on its way onto the grid, and then Green Mountain Power pays for that electricity at a rate that's established by the legislature. And that payment shows up as a credit on your electric bill. There will be a group of people who receive the benefit from it, and the town of Newfane would be one of the people who would be in that group, and they would get an allocated percentage of that total amount. And our experience is we would have a contract with you, and that contract would probably go for 25 years, because that's the warranty life of the panels that we'll put up. And then we'll have an ongoing negotiation. Our belief, we build our racks to last for 50 years, and the panels have a warranty that says that they'll run out, that at the end of 25 years, they're warranted to provide 80% as much power as they do the day we start. So if at any point they drop below that, the panel manufacturer will replace the panel. But after 25 years, we're only 80% down. We've got a system that's still functioning and producing a lot of electricity, and it seems silly to take it down 25 years from now just because we don't know what it's going to do. So we would set it for 25 years and then say we would just renegotiate at that point when younger folks than us know what's, some of you will certainly be involved here, but I might not be. So I guess that's about all I can think of off the top of my head. I'd be happy to answer questions.
On the Townsend landfill,
Yeah.
how did you handle the ballasting there?
It wasn't, in
It's on the
Townsend, it
campus.
was a hill that they let people drive up to and dump the trash over the side. We didn't build on top of where the trash had been. We built on where they drove on. So we didn't have to ballast
Okay,
it.
so there's no cap there.
There's no cap in Townsend.
Have you built on other places where there was a cap?
We haven't built on a cap.
How much do you figure a year does the town would get out of this? I mean, I know you said electricity, but what do you figure, how much do you figure that's gonna be?
My rough off the top guess is that we're talking $10,000. But again, I'm not sure. I don't know for sure. I think that, no, that number is actually high. Sorry, we're talking closer to 5, doing math in my head. But I'm not certain what the sum of all the town's electric bills are, but that's the figure that I heard.
But it's $5K annually.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it should take care of your electric bill going forward, because we don't know about inflation, but what we do know is that if you're getting a percentage of the output of the field, if electric rates go up in the meantime, the rate that you get paid for this also goes up with it. So it should be a perfect hedge against inflation on the electric bill.
You would take care of all the maintenance and all
We take care of all the
the
maintenance.
damage, if somebody vandalized it, whatever.
Yeah, that wouldn't happen here, would it? Yeah, it's all covered by insurance, and we have an operations and maintenance company for our other solar fields that'll come out and mow the field and take care of it.
At the end of 25 years, if the town decided not to go any further, you would take all that out of there?
We'd have to talk about that. It might be something like if we said there was a compelling reason, but the town won't be the only recipient of the benefit of here. So as I said, I would hate to enter into an agreement now that says that we would take it out if it was still functioning.
Right, I'm just saying if the town decided not to renew the contract for some reason,
Yeah,
you would have to take it out, right?
we would,
Clean it up.
yeah.
Does anybody know what it costs us for electricity now?
It's around 5,000
Around 5, yeah.
for all the buildings.
Should put new one on there and Blaisdell. Anybody got any more questions for him?
Well,
Doris?
okay.
Tag, you're it.
They're talking about putting the, on the landfill down in Brattleboro.
Yeah.
Do you know what they're using? What
Um,
their, what
That,
their balance are, or how they're doing that down there?
they'll essentially do the same
Okay.
thing that we would be doing here. That project has gone through so many turns
I
and
know.
twists that I don't know what the standing is today. I know they hired a company from California to come in and do it, and the company said that they could provide this huge benefit to all the
Right.
towns, and then they came back and they finally said they couldn't, but they had, so I don't know.
I was thinking about the ballast and all that
Yeah.
type of stuff.
On the ballast, it'll be the same
Same
kind
type
of
of thing.
ballasted,
Okay.
ballasted system. This landfill here is older. It's had
Yes.
more time to settle, so
Yes.
probably they may have to spread their ballast footprint out more than we'll have to here.
To do all the testing and investigation into that piece of property, as to, you know, what the environmental impact of that, et cetera, where the arrays would be set up exactly, because would there be any trees that would need to come down, those kinds of things. Have you any information about that?
We did a layout
Yep.
without removing any trees.
You did?
Definitely solar production could be increased by trimming back some trees. That would be something we can talk about if you all are open to that, but we wanted to make sure we could do it as it stands right now and generate enough power. And in terms of the engineering, what we would want is to have a letter understanding that if the engineering falls within a range that we expect, that we'll be able to go ahead. We wouldn't want to put the money up for the engineering and then have the town decide not to do the project. So we'd want to have that kind of security, knowing we got the project to do if the engineering comes in.
And who would pay for that engineer and the engineer's report?
We'll pay. I mean, my feeling is that the town's interested in this if it doesn't cost the town any money. So we're trying to find a way.
interested.
What? You got that?
Got that.
Yeah. So that's the standard route that we're trying to meet. We just don't want to have to risk too much of our money before we know that there's actually a deal there.
We understand it will probably be a competitive bid.
I understand that, yeah.
Yeah, like this is a community solar thing, right?
Mhm.
So like anybody in town that wanted to buy
Yeah,
parts of it, they could buy it,
yeah, and we would
cut their
make
rate,
that,
that would cut the rates down on the electric bill by a lot.
yeah, everybody who buys in would get probably a 10 to 15% reduction on their electric bill. And then if they say they borrowed the money to buy their panels, after 15 years, their electricity would be free. The loan would be paid off. So we did that in Townsend, and more than half of the panels in that project were bought by people in Townsend, and we would have a sales promotion here in Newfane where we would make the panels available first to Newfane residents who are involved. On a
So that's
competitive,
something you'd have like a breakdown of later on and go further with this, so you could present it to like the people and stuff too. Besides just the town showing what they're gonna make, you know, like say if they $5,000, $10,000 a share, whatever they buy, but they get out of power, like you're saying, after so many years of paying the $10,000 off, it's like free with power to them now.
yeah. So basically, our aim would be that people could borrow money to buy the panels, and that their payments would be the same as their electric payments are now. And then when their loan is paid off, that becomes free. Also, as electric rates go up, if they do, if people have a fixed rate loan, then they'll start making money on the difference between the loan and the electric rate right away.
So individual citizens could actually, if they had a large acreage and it was cited perfectly, could actually do this themselves and then get neighbors and community members to buy in?
That's true. Unfortunately, the state is hitting a real kind of contraction and strike back on building solar, and they're putting in a really strong economic disincentive for anybody to build it on anything other than a brown field or a previously disturbed place. Before we were able to go out, almost all the projects we've built have been in farmers' fields, and they're getting a significant rent on their field, and the state has decided not to allow that anymore, at least for a while. So not anybody can do it. Not as many people can do it as used to be able to.
So we talked about fields, what about Newbrook Elementary's been, is that gonna fall under their, not being able to put that on their land now, probably? That's a wide open field.
It is a wide open field. I would like to talk about that. One of the exclusions that makes land possible is if the people who are using the electricity own that land or own an adjacent parcel. So the elementary school might qualify under that exemption because if they're using half the electricity that's generated by the parcel, then they would be able to avoid the 3-cent penalty.
So what would happen if a person in a community got several neighbors together and they all bought into this, and then that person who owns the land moves and wants to sell their property?
As with basically any lease, a lease of a property or of a part of a property would supersede the sale. So if you have a piece of land and you lease part of it to me to build a solar array and then you sell it, the lease has to go with the sale. So the project would be able to stay in place. But the people wouldn't be able to sell their land and say, now you have to take it away because I've sold my land.
How secure is the net metering legislation here in Vermont? So I've heard horror stories in other parts of the country where people go for solar and then find out that net metering fell out from underneath of them.
Yeah. We've just gone through a real scare tactic here in Vermont. We always said that would never happen in Vermont. And then the utilities actually proposed some changes that would have put in some charges on people's bills. But the legislature just voted, or the Public Service Board just set a set of rules which says we won't make any changes to the grandfathered net metering rules. And they were very clear about what changes could happen in the future. So people who are already grandfathered into net metering will continue to get the same benefits. I mean, the legislature could always go back and change that, you know, but we tend to think that in Vermont, they're not going to want to do that.
So the size solar field you got planned right there now, you said if they did some cutting, you could make it bigger, right? That's just showing it right now, you could put that on, no problem.
Right, we can put that on. There will be some east-west shading. The sun comes up here and hits those trees, and as it goes down over here, it's going to hit some shading. So basically cutting some more trees would lessen the amount of shading on the array. In Vermont, the net metering statutes have one set of rules up to 150 kilowatts and a whole different set of rules at 150.1. And that set of rules would make it prohibitive to build a larger array here. We can build a larger one in a field where we could put 3 times that much, but to just put a little bit more wouldn't be worth it here.
Can you give us a list of references so that we can
Oh, sure.
follow up on some of those?
Yeah.
Give them to Shannon at some point.
Yeah. Okay. Ken, we'll pull a list of references together. We have, sure, I'll make sure lots of folks in the local area who've worked with us, and I think most of them like us. Yeah, we would think we would have heard if they didn't.
Yeah. Or red. Or red.
Or red or
Yeah.
something, you know, it would have come up.
All right, good. Is there anybody got anything else? I think one of the things the town needs to do is get a hold of the state so that we know exactly what will be done with that landfill,
I've already done
We-
that.
Yeah, we,
so that
thank
we,
you for that.
Yeah, no
That-
problem.
I appreciate
So
getting
far
all
down,
that.
there's gotta be a blanket or a cover under the soil. How deep is it?
Right.
Well,
You just gotta
either-
run
You have a
conduit, it
plan.
wouldn't have
Well,
to
that
be
soil
too
is
deep.
pretty deep when they put it down, right?
Yes, it is.
yeah,
It's like 30 foot or something, right?
it's all clay.
Yeah, oh, there's a clay cap there too? Okay.
Do you
That's
have a
good.
membrane cap as well as the clay cap?
Yes, I do believe there is,
Yeah.
on the bottom and the top, I think.
Mm. So I guess the next step is, for you all to talk among yourselves, look at the Green Lantern proposal. I think the thing that is in our favor here is that we're a local company and we build, and Ken is our crew boss who lives here in Newfane. Green Lantern is up north and they bring in their capital from out of state to build these. We do it all with local funding. So it's a more local.
Well, one of the things that I think about like this, though, it's a community solar field.
Yeah,
So if people in town wanna buy in on it, they can. I don't think they can on some of the other ones, right?
not on the Green
So like,
Lantern
say
project.
like this here, if any of you guys wanted to buy in on that solar, then to get your power reduced, you could, You wouldn't have to put one on your roof or something like that, you can buy in on this. And that's what they're trying to do more of like this.
Right,
Same with the school, school wouldn't have to, because they could get,
yeah. And there are some problems in Vermont, You have one of the widest temperature changes over the course of a year of anywhere on the planet. From minus 25 degrees to 110 degrees. And
That's in 1 week.
in a week, yeah, and then the
That
next
was
week.
last week.
All that mud season.
And when all that's going on, metal is expanding and contracting. And if you put solar panels on a roof, you have to go through the roof to anchor. And for 25 years, I'm not a roofer, I'm a solar guy. I don't want to be on the hook. People say we can do it so it won't leak, but I like putting things on the ground.
well, this is a good solution for that site, something like
Yeah.
that. It's been costing the town money, this is a good way to get some money back.
I think what I'd like to see is some particulars on paper that you could, did you happen to bring any tonight, or?
I didn't,
That's okay.
because I would like to have a conversation with you
Right.
about whether you want to go forward. It's hard for us to nail it down and we know exactly what we're trying to do.
Yeah.
I just wanted to point out, I just bought solar, community solar, in Stickney Brook. And just to let you know, an example is I borrowed 100% to buy the panels that I needed. My loan payment is less than what my utility bill was. And then, of course, my loan is paid off in 10 years, and I had a 30-year contract, so easily 2/3 without inflation. And with this particular project, like Peter said, it will take care of the town's power need. Preliminary, there's still research to understand, but then there will be panels available for. And the maintenance, you guys don't have to worry about maintenance, warranty. I don't know, I can't see, it's a win-win.
Good.
It's definitely worth considering. I would like, maybe some recommendations and a few other things, maybe with some figures,
Sure.
to just,
Well, if we can get a copy of your electric bills, then we can start matching, our figures and let you know exactly what we'll be able to do. It can just be a dollar amount.
our treasurer should.
We don't have to see the bills themselves exactly, but
You gave me how many kilowatts they were using. And-
No, I gave you a list of what we paid.
Okay, well,
Yes.
okay.
I think one of our, Alex, one of our guys we work with has those.
Okay.
But what we do at Sovern is, we take the entire utility bill so that you have enough energy, you buy enough energy or enough panels that covers all the taxes and other fees that are involved with it. So that's why he's looking for a dollar amount,
Yeah.
more so than how many kilowatts.
Right. Yeah, he should have that then.
Okay.
Because what I printed out was what was spent out of each budget for the electric
Right.
bills.
Yeah, and I did hand that to Alex, and I'll
Okay.
follow up on that.
Yep.
Okay. So we can do that, and again, it's gonna take some back and forth conversation. Like, if you all say, yeah, this seems like a really good idea, then we'll say, okay, we'll go and we'll do the engineering, and then when we know how much that costs, then we can give you a real clear number for how much of your bill we can cover. Yeah.
Will the contracts that are grandfathered
Mm-hmm.
for net metering, so they're safe,
Yeah.
if something's signed today, going forward, does it not have those same protections?
It does have the same protections. The rate that they're paying for electricity is going down a lot at the end of 2016, so we'll be subject to the new rates that they're being paid for. And there's one protection that we don't know for sure. They may put a charge on everybody's bill who's doing solar, like a monthly service fee. And it's not certain that after 20 years, that could get applied to this project, that we would have it in the contract, that would be covered by the electricity generated.
Peter, do you know yet what the grandfather date is?
We know that the legislation which they're calling net metering 2.0 has been, the rules have been put out, but they aren't final, and nobody's quite sure that they're subject to. But the date is January 1st, 2017, that those rules will go into effect. But they've already got a moratorium on building projects now, so we couldn't rush and get this in time to get underneath that deadline, because they've already closed net metering until 2017.
Would you be available to speak to the citizens
Sure.
of Newfane also? Because it's one thing to talk to us as a town,
Yeah.
but since you would be looking for people to invest in it, I think it would be really important to have conversation with the citizens who
Yeah.
might be interested and the benefits and the costs and versus your monthly bill now and what you would be paying in a loan if you took out a loan to do this.
Yeah,
And how long does it take to pay off the loan?
all that, yeah.
I think that would be
We'd be
really
happy to
important.
make a presentation, Ken and I can put that together. Maybe we could do that even here, or someplace in town where we could meet and just invite town citizens to come.
Okay.
And we'd also be happy to talk about the New Brook project if any of you guys are, we got started talking about that back when all the town discussion came up, but we haven't heard anything since about what's happening with the solar part of that project. Good. Nothing?
Different board.
Different board
Yeah.
altogether, that's the school board.
They don't tell
Yeah.
us.
Right.
We don't really have much communication with them, unfortunately.
Ah, okay.
But Shannon can certainly give you a contact person.
Sure. Great. You guys would need to leave this so we can look at it?
Sure,
Okay.
that would be great.
Thanks very much.
Okay.
Everybody,
Thank you.
appreciate your time. Thank
Yeah,
you.
thanks for coming.
Okay. Town Office Committee. Looks like most people are here, so
You're all here. Yeah.
You mean this is not going to be presented by Mr. Happy?
This is just
Trying to give a no-show.
outline of things
I got
I
it.
gave you.
Yeah.
so take that.
Yeah. just like that.
She gave you one already.
Yeah, I already gave you.
You don't get another one, sorry.
She's
We just
being
wanted to
conscious.
update you on what we've been doing and so forth. And because you had asked the committee to do the presentation at the hearing on
29.
the 29th at the firehouse at 1 o'clock. We're designing and sending out a brochure to be mailed to all the property owners of the informational meeting, and Mel has been kind enough to say that he will design it. So that's, information will include costs of the town office, figuring a 4,000 square foot building. And we're obtaining estimates from a few other builders. Brochure will be posted on the website. We'd like to see articles in the Reformer and the Commons to get people there. I mean, I know it's on the legal warning, but people don't really see it, you know? And we talked about the possibility of doing a PowerPoint presentation, but we don't have a projector that we
I have a projector.
use.
I'll let you use it.
Do you have a working projector?
A working
I have
projector.
a working projector. That's why I
working
don't use it.
projector.
Really.
Oh.
Yeah, I have a working projector, yes.
And screen?
Oh, a screen, yeah.
No, but I have sheets, I have lots of sheets.
Most of the meeting places already have
It would be
screens,
good to
just
have
no
a screen.
We
projectors.
can just,
so-
if we just have a wall, that's really all
Right.
you need.
Yeah.
I can't picture it, so if there is a wall, it's fine.
We got a screen of fire.
You have a screen
Yeah.
firehouse, right?
Your screen?
You've got a screen at the firehouse?
Sounds
When
pretty
the
good.
open meeting,
Mhm.
when we had the open meeting presentation, one of the lawyers from VLCT came down. At the firehouse, there was a screen, and she had a laptop.
Okay. And the laptop is another situation,
I have a laptop.
and I have one too, so,
Yeah.
okay. We might be able to figure that out. Otherwise, we looked into the cost of a projector would be about $300. Estimated
I got it.
cost of
A
this,
free one.
estimated cost of stamps would be $282. We don't know the cost of the brochure yet, but we're moving forward to get this done and taken care of. I can't show you what the brochure is gonna look like right now, but
It'll be very simple because we don't want to, we want it to be simple and straightforward. So probably the only thing that'll be of any color will be the rendering of the new building. So that'll be on there somewhere. Maybe headlines, the heads that are colored a second color just for ease, but simple.
And will all the members of the town building committee be present to?
well, there's 6 of us here right now.
Yeah, no, I mean, you will be the ones who do the presentation.
Correct,
Yes.
correct,
Thank you.
yeah. And there'll be other information
Yeah.
too that we might,
I think Robin may be there. We don't know.
we don't know, but we're not sure about that part.
We can discuss that Thursday.
Yeah, we're having a meeting this Thursday at 5 o'clock here.
I saw her at 99 Restaurant, and she handed me a business card and said she wants to be involved.
He's the only one here.
So we're hoping to see her Thursday.
Who is that?
Robin,
Sweet apple.
sweet apple.
She was one that worked with David Cotton
Right,
on this report.
The investigative work.
yeah, no.
Yeah.
So this money that you're gonna spend is coming out of the town office fund, I'm assuming? Stamps and brochures and stuff?
Well, I would think this is really a town project that the select board really is having a hearing, unless you don't want to, I don't know where the money's going to come from.
Well, the second question did pass.
What?
That the 35,000, which was sitting from a previous project, could be used on the town building. So
Yeah.
Well, that's what I'm
technically,
saying, that's what I
Is
said.
that what you meant?
Oh, is that what you meant? I'm thinking town office.
I don't know why
We
you
don't have any money.
wouldn't use that.
We don't have any money,
Their approval.
But it's
I'm just, wanna make sure it's gonna come out of some account somewhere.
yeah. It really is the.
Road foreman.
I don't,
Yeah, your budget.
I mean, we're doing this presentation and doing the stuff for the select board in the town, you know, in reality,
Mhm.
you know. So it would seem that someplace we could find the money, if not, well, but we're gonna do it anyway.
I think that was one of the biggest criticisms I heard of the previous vote, is that the citizens were not prepared adequately for the town vote, didn't really have the information or weren't paying attention. We don't really know what happened, but this is a do-over in a way, since we're already doing it over, that to really present solid, current information that's been gone through and investigated, so that the voters will be informed about the project and what what it means, and they can vote however they wish, but at least they're going to be informed.
I think there was information out there before, well, I know there was information out there before, but in a lot of ways, there was too much information. And you know, when you get more than, you get 3 pieces of paper filled up, nobody wants to read any of it. You know, well, they don't, you know, I mean, if it's you give you this thing here, this is okay, you can read that. But when you start putting all the sentences and this and that and the other thing, it's like, even for this thing, that report that I just gave you, if we had done that in sentence form and did a whole, instead of bullets, you wouldn't have read it.
Right.
You know? So it's just a piece. Yeah, it's like the town warning and stuff like that, you know, you just, so I think it really has more to do, we're gonna simplify, but make it easier to understand. Yeah.
I mean, I would say that by comparison, it's going to be crystal clear by comparison to the last presentation. Everything will have been gone through, validated in some cases, updated, and so the presentation will be also without the confusing factor that at least I think for myself and that informational meeting before and a lot of others, the complication that came with, well, what if we do the new, we don't do the new, what happens to the renovation? And there's a lot of conversation about the renovation, what if, what if. And this is going to be a conversation about why we're suggesting that the new building is the only solution from our perspective, the best solution from our perspective. So we're not going to get into legal aspects. If this doesn't pass, what happens to the renovation? So that goes away if I understand the process.
Right.
And so what's left is, here's why the new building is the most responsible way to keep taxes low and to spend the least amount of money that you have to going forward. So that's what we're putting together now, and not just the verbal, but also the backup.
Now, is 600 enough to get it out to everybody?
Well,
Because that was some of the thing last time, they said it only went to certain ones and different like that, so I mean, is 600 enough to get it
well, a
out?
lot of these are combined,
Right, you got, I
Yeah.
guess, more than one person.
yeah.
Fair enough.
And it may end up being more than that, but,
You just don't know.
we're working on the, yeah.
Whatever comes
Just to
out.
give you an idea of what, if we said 600, we're also gonna, we're gonna have more than, we're gonna have 1,000 brochures.
Yeah, you're not just actually just like 200 and some bucks, right, or whatever it is. Whatever it comes to is what you need to pay for.
Yeah, that was just the stamp part, you know.
And
Yeah. Help me understand, my understanding for the, chronologically here, is that the charge for the committee predated our knowledge of the revote, that we knew that the building committee's charge occurred before we knew the revote would occur. Is that fair to say?
No,
No, that's not correct.
there's been a committee for a while. Different people have been on.
But the newly reconstituted committee was done on the same night, I believe, that we also made the decision that we would accept the petition and go forward with the revote. That they had acquired the correct names and the correct number of names, and that the committee would be formed and its charge would be.
But the charge for the building committee does not only include a new building, it includes all options.
All options,
that's
yes.
right.
But if that's the case, you know, I don't want to tell the committee how to do its work, but I would argue from an optics perspective that to put a rendering of the new building on the announcement already in a sense predisposes the conversation that would be occurring on the 29th. Is that not the case? I mean, given the history of the situation, I would imagine that other town people seeing a rendering of the new building might just go ahead and assume that once again the decision has been made, when in fact, according to the building committee, as I understand it, that decision has not necessarily been made.
Well,
Can I say something? Ken, I was I've been thinking the same thing since you said this, because Mel, when you were just speaking, you were saying that it's going to be the job of your town office committee to just speak about a new building and let these people who attend this meeting understand that you're only going to be talking about the new building and why you all think that that's the best way to go ahead for the town. And I just have to say that as part of the select board up here, I think it's been our responsibility to give all the facts about each and every choice that there is. And so when you're talking as a committee, either it would be really important, as far as I see it, that you express that it is the committee's decision to just talk about the new building, and that it is all of your opinion that this is best for the town. Because we, as a select board, are still responsible to listen to everybody's opinion in this town and not just say, listen, we have decided that this is the best. We have to know what the citizens feel and want. And so I have a concern about how this is going to be addressed.
Well, no, it's not. That isn't what the committee is all about. I mean, this article, and that's what I said when we went back at this, I'd like to see it that we could have the time to put together a plan and show them. They're right. I mean, what they're doing is on that new building. Because what you're voting on is on the same article as the $900,000.
No, I understand that.
It has nothing to do with the renovation.
If I can just add one thing, it isn't, the focus is going to, well, and again, this is, I don't want to speak for the committee, I'm speaking personally now. And I joined the committee after the last vote. To say that nothing's going to be said about the renovation is not true. What I mean to say is, we're going to say is we've looked at the renovation again and we've concluded that it is not a reasonable option for, fiscally speaking, for the town to pursue. That said, we can get a number to it. Now we're going to spend time showing you why the new building is the right solution. So it's not to say that we ignore it, but we're also not going to spend an hour or half hour trying to explain all the details that went into the renovation and the cost, because that's a waste of time.
No, I understand.
So that's how I would compare the two.
I understand.
But as far as the article was written, it was for a new construction or a new building.
Yeah, but we have to remember all the upset about having this new boat again in the, you know, altogether. There are people who don't want this new boat.
But the committee can't present two questions.
No, I know that, I know that.
If this gets voted down, then the building committee isn't gonna fall apart. We're gonna discuss remodeling this building. So I think what we had to do, and
So I think
I
that's
can't-
very important to bring up then.
yeah, I think it's gonna get brought up, but, I mean, we don't have much time. I mean, we're gonna have 4 meetings, and then we're gonna have an informational meeting and then a vote. So we decided, unless I'm
No,
speaking over my head, but
they asked us to present.
that's what you asked us to do, and I'm not against remodeling this building. We're dealing with a vote and a petition.
Well, the petition came in to vote the article as written. It was as a $900,000 for a new building.
Right.
And I said, that's what we have to present, that's what we're doing. I mean, if it goes through, it goes through. If it doesn't, it doesn't. You know, then you go start it as the other ground.
If that doesn't fly, then it'll be back at town meeting for the
But we
vote.
couldn't change the way the article was written, so.
No, I understand, Robin.
Procedurally, if this gets voted down, doesn't the town have to take and go back and vote for an additional $500,000 to do renovations? No?
That would be nice.
I mean, the town could, but they don't, there's nothing statutorily saying you have to. They could just decide to do nothing.
So if a $600,000 renovation could be done without town vote, without citizens voting?
No,
Not to be
there's no
bonded.
money.
No.
Not if we get a loan.
That would put us back on what we're doing now, which
It's kind of
is
a suicide mission for the select board anyways.
exactly. Either we hang together or we hang
If you're gonna do
separately,
that, wait
but
till
we
after
will always
town
try.
meeting, so I won't be on the board.
Just to then, for my own clarification, I'm sure for those who are watching this, maybe for theirs as well, Is there or is there not a necessary relationship between the task of the building committee and the revote? Because my understanding is that the bond issue, for November 8th is one track, and what the building committee does is related, but still a different track. But what I'm hearing tonight is that because there's the revote, that necessarily somehow mandates that the building committee do a certain thing.
Yes.
Which is what the select board asked us.
Yes, absolutely. You're right.
Yeah. We got our direction from the select board. Yeah.
All right, anybody else got anything to add?
Do you have any questions or any problems with what we're doing to,
Do we have another meeting before?
who?
Before
Before the
the,
29th or before the 8th?
Before the performance? Let's see.
No? I don't think
No,
we do.
I would like to say that the outline here
We
that
have
you're
November
presenting
7th.
is excellent, and you're really doing a very thorough job of covering everything.
Our new members
This is
have been
not,
a
they
big
went to
help.
the information
New
meeting.
members have been a big help. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, all of you together.
We're all enthusiastic.
Well, I can testify that this is the hardest working committee I've ever been on. I mean, they're like coming out of the gate and they're working hard. Because they don't have very much time and they really want to, I think what I'm impressed by, and I haven't hardly done anything on there, but what I'm impressed by is how dedicated they are to make sure that the citizens are actually getting current, accurate information and statistics. And yeah, that's pretty hard to do in a short time, in a short time span. But they're working overtime.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
If I could add one more thing, just, again, this is a personal perspective. I'm driven by one thing, and that's being stingy, okay? The last thing I want to do with my money, my tax dollars, is to waste it. And so by looking at this project in detail, by getting on the committee and be able to look at the actual facts, I've been able to be convinced, at least so far, that the new building is indeed the solution that will save me, and if it saves me, it saves others, money in the long run by spending the least amount of money. Because taxes will go up, but I want the taxes to go up to the minimal amount with the greatest impact. And so, personally, I'm seeing that the new building is the answer to that solution. There's a solution to that.
That's one of the most important things that you can bring up,
Right.
because everybody can identify with that, I'm sure.
That's my hurdle. If it doesn't pass that hurdle, I would put it down.
Mhm.
And is why I would, if there was a vote right today about renovating this, I'd vote it down. I'd vote no. So, because that would be money entirely wasted. So there's a better solution, and I think that's what we're trying to do, is make sure that everybody understands why it's the best solution.
Okay, anybody else? Thank you for your work.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming and sharing.
Unscheduled members of the public.
Well, let's just pitch the meeting on Thursday at 5 o'clock. Anyone who would like to come and participate in that meeting, it will be here in this room at 5 o'clock on Thursday.
Do we have any unscheduled members of the public?
Are you gonna be home?
New business. My favorite time of year. Budgeting schedule,
When are we actually?
March. We started in March, right after town meeting.
I don't think so. Listen, I may be a little naive, but I'm not that naive.
I was hoping.
You know, I
But I
remember
would have to
last
go through it
year,
again.
that was excruciating, all the budget meetings. We need to get started.
Well, I think what we need to do is have Shannon draw us up a cheat sheet of the budget from last year.
Yeah.
Get us figures, write them down, and we go over it instead of having to try to fill these in. Because last year was a disaster.
I'm
All the
really,
years I spent on the board last year was the
yeah,
absolute
we
worst.
need to really work hard and get budget scheduling
There's really no reason
started.
you can't get the budget done in like 3 meetings, and we ended up with like 10 last year, which is
Yeah.
ridiculous.
Well, I don't know about 3 meetings, but yeah, I have a lot to do. So.
When do you want to start that? November or December?
I like your idea, Mark.
Right now,
I like right after town meeting myself.
after reading it, yeah,
Just put a number out there and
Yeah.
yeah.
we'll budget for it.
What
No.
month do you want to start?
Alright, so I won't be on town, I won't be on the select board then.
So you think,
You don't know
I
for
say
sure if they're
November.
gonna let you disappear
Okay, I'm gonna
into
go
the
ahead and say
ballroom.
November.
I don't know for
How
sure.
about November 21st
Too late.
is a budget meeting?
I mean, it'd be fine, but it's too late to start at the end of November.
You wanna do November 7th then? Or you wanna do an extra meeting?
Thank you, Frank.
I don't want an extra meeting.
I mean, what'd you guys do last year? Just pick the Mondays that you
Yeah,
didn't
we
have
did.
select board.
well, November 7th is our regular meeting,
Yeah,
right?
how about the 14th? Does that
14th
sound good
works
for
for me.
everybody?
We can schedule the 14th and then
14th for a
As
budget
an
meeting?
extra meeting, right?
What time?
6?
6, okay, we hear a 6 over here? Everybody in
6
agreement?
o'clock for me.
Okay, 6 o'clock on the 14th.
then we could, next meeting we have would be the 21st, and
Yeah.
after that would be the 28th.
Well, 28th,
Just have to do it every
14th
other
and then
month.
28th, and
yeah.
see where we
We'll
come.
meet every Monday until we get,
Get
get
those two
done.
down for now, and then we can schedule them after that.
What seemed to be the stumbling blocks last year?
Just
Well,
that
we-
a lot of people hadn't ever done the process before,
This was, yeah, it was
so,
3 people.
well, and also we
yeah.
had increase in insurance,
two
health
people.
insurance,
Mhm.
and that was
That
a,
hadn't done it, because you had Dennis.
that took a
who-
long
It
time
was
to get
3
through
of
that,
you who had done
figuring it
it was
out.
trying to figure that out. We had big expenses on the town highway with a truck. We had, health insurance was going skyrocketing.
That was tough.
So it took a while. This year, as far as the town highway stuff goes, it's like a pickup, maybe a York rate, which would be not even half of what the truck was last year, so that should make things a little bit easier. But there's always
And we
things.
don't have any big health insurance that we've heard.
No.
it. Did you say
We'll
we're
know
having a
that.
meeting on the
Okay.
28th
Closer.
also?
Yeah,
Budget meeting.
it should go a little, I think if Shannon can put the numbers down for us, it should help us quite a bit.
Well, she does. She gives us usually all the stuff we need.
But if, I mean, she can write it down for us all the way on the, like cheat sheets, we can.
No, we need sheets.
I'll just do it for you.
Okay, anybody else got anything on budgeting, scheduling?
You got it down?
Ken, did you come here as an unscheduled member of the public, or?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, there's 3 Kens.
Oh
That's
my
really cool.
goodness.
Okay.
Please get them on TV.
I just wanted to give you a quick update what's going on at the school.
Ken 3.
Come on, guys, want to go back to the unscheduled members of the public for a
Sure.
minute? You have the floor. Yes, sir.
Wow. Thank you. Well, just 2 brief notes. Basically, wanted to touch base with you on our solar project. You know, the one that's nothing's happening. As you probably heard, Sun Edison went Chapter 11, and so everything was on hold. The good news is we have no money invested in that, and so it doesn't cost us anything other than the fact of we did recently finally get back in touch with them. We had, for a long time, we had like this lack of communication, that no one was answering phone calls, emails, registered letters, nothing. Yes.
Kim, could you introduce yourself and who you're speaking when you say "we" to the
Absolutely.
camera? Because they don't know who you are.
Ken McFadden, Newfane Board Chair for the school districts, and
Thank you.
when I say we, I'm talking about the school.
Cool, that's right.
Okay. So Sun Edison has gotten to the point where they finally decided that somebody was going to return the phone call and say, oh no, we're all eager to go through with this project. The only problem, our biggest concern is we have this contract, you know, and has a nice rent settlement and all this other. If we don't file by, the certificate of public good isn't filed by the December 30th, that incentive goes away and it goes to a lower incentive. And so pretty much we have like the last contract that was approved to go through, waiting for this paperwork to go through. but we had just asked for a letter, and we got it last Thursday, of reassurance that they will be completing the certificate of public good by December 30th. And then we should be getting a finalized project timeline. So that's where we stand right now. So it looks like it's going through the way it was supposed to, just delayed because of their financial problems. And that's where we are on the solar project.
So Son Edison is back in the game.
Son Edison is back in the game. Apparently they were never out of the game, they were just reorganizing.
Okay.
It would have been nice to have known that when they made that decision.
You're preaching to the choir. I spent the whole summer making phone calls, sending emails, and it got to the point when I finally found out where the address of the building was, their nearest building, which happens to be on Wisconsin Avenue down in Bethesda, Maryland, which I happened to, when I was in the Navy, lived right across the street from that building. I know exactly where it is. I was tempted to drive down there. Hello? But, so that's where we are with that. So is there any questions on that?
What kind of a deal was it with the town anyways? I mean, what kind of money you guys expecting back and this and that and everything else?
The contract was for a $20,000 a year lease payment and saving approximately, it was like 19 cents on the, 17 cents per kilowatt. So it was actually, it was like a 75% savings on the cost plus the lease payment. So that was.
Ken,
Does,
number 3.
number one.
Number 1.
Okay. Does Son Edison have a written right to develop that project with the school?
Yes. Yes, they have a contract. Which was the reason they finally got in touch with us, because we told them we were thinking about, since you went chapter 11, we want out of the project because you're not doing anything. And then miraculously they came around. So.
What's that do going forward though, like with this? Are they still in chapter 11 or?
They're still in, well, according to Son Edison, like any other big corporation, they have many different sections. So the section that we have the contract with didn't go chapter 11. But they still have to reorganize all the other finances before they can let anything go to developing another project.
And your December 30th deadline, that's for the net metering part?
That's for the net metering part. But it also says in the contract that if the terms of the market change, the contract can be renegotiated. So that's why we're pushing to get that certificate of public good filed. Actually, by the end of this week, they have to refile the 45-day notice that has to go out, and once that's finished, then they can file the certificate of public good, which that's the one that says this is, you're in. So no matter, even if they don't develop it for 5 years, once that's in, that rate still stands.
Do you have to go for a revote now when is that
No,
vote?
it's the same. No, it's the same contract. It's the
But
same.
nothing's been done, so.
It's still the same it's still the same contract, the same project. Everything's still the same. Everything's just delayed.
If it doesn't go for 5 years, would there be a price increase?
No. That's why that certificate has to be filed by the 30th. The certificate of public good.
Wow, what a long drawn out process.
Yes. Well, even longer when the company doesn't follow through like they were supposed to in the beginning.
Ken, you might want to trade business cards with Ken. They were here with Vermont Community Solar to make a presentation to us for the cap.
And they are local.
Well, if they already have a written right to develop, and they've put research into it and developing the project, it'd be hard to get in that one.
And I guess their other option was that they could sell off the project. Sun Edison could if they wanted to, if they weren't gonna follow through with it. Since they didn't, they've already invested money into it. So,
Well, if they're gonna drag their feet, I don't know, I'd look at that contract fairly close.
oh, we've already had our lawyers looking at it.
Well, what I'm wondering about too, is like where Vermont's changing a lot of its things on structuring landfills, old gravel banks, stuff like that, you know, brown areas and stuff. I mean, has the state already issued a thing permit for that?
For what?
Your thing down here?
All that paperwork supposedly has already been filed.
See, that's what I'm saying, the state's changed a lot of the ways of doing it now. That's what I'm just wondering if they've already filed all that stuff.
I'm presuming they have to file all that before they can file for a certificate of public good.
It doesn't sound by what they're saying now that the state would allow that to go down there anymore. Because they're taking away, they don't want people using fields, they don't want people taking wooded areas all down. They want to see it in gravel pits and like the landfill and that stuff. And from what we've been told, two different companies now, that the state is really cracking down on that. They don't want good usable land used for that anymore. So you guys might want to check in to see whether the state may not let you do that now.
All right.
Things may have changed.
They may have.
Yep.
Surprise, surprise.
If the project is on the property where there's a 50% off-taker, like if the school owns that property and they're gonna take 50% of the power out of that, then the rules have stayed the same.
Oh,
Yeah, but you're not taking 50% of it.
I don't know exactly how much will be taken out. It all depends now with our new air-to-air system.
No, but I thought you, what the town was getting that time, where I understood it, is getting your rep check plus a 10 or 15%.
Right, but we're still off-takers.
the school.
Yeah, but not for 50%.
And I'm not exactly sure of the percentage that we're getting.
Is there any way you could find that out
Uh,
without too much pain?
I'm sure it can be figured out.
I think that'd be good
I think they're gonna
information.
figure it out before they decide how much we're gonna take. I know originally before we put in the air-to-air, they figured it was it's a 500 kilowatt, and they said it was like 110 kilowatts that we were taking. And that's before the air-to-air system was put in, which supplements the heat, takes away from the new propane and the old, the new. So I'm sure that it's gonna be pretty close. And the other thing I wanted to touch base on is Act 46. Is anybody familiar with Act 46 for the school districts?
Act 46.
Just heard a little bit about it, not a lot yet. I don't think it's good.
Oh, about consolidating?
It's the consolidation of school
Right.
districts. And pretty much what it is, they had the voluntary red study about 3 years ago that went on forever. And well, it finished up about 3 years ago. And it's the same exact thing for us. It's all 5 Leland and Gray schools combined into one school district, K through 12.
We've heard about it.
Okay, and the state's really pushing for this to go
Yeah.
through. And I personally have a concern with it. And, a lot of people say, nobody wants to give up local control. I don't mind giving up local control if it's going to save money, if it's going to benefit the kids better. And the way this law is written up is it's all to me it's all a bunch of promises that we already have. Okay, we're supposed to have unified curriculum. Well, we started the Common Core standard 2 years ago, which all the schools are now teaching everything the same to prepare the kids for high school. But Act 46 is supposed to do this, but we're already doing it. It seems like everything they're promising that it's gonna make better, we already do. And as far as Newfane, Brookline, and Wyndham, the three of us have the lowest cost per pupil by over, I think it's like $750 a student or $800 or $1,000 a student compared to Jamaica and Townsend. So what's gonna wind up happening is our taxes are gonna go up and theirs are gonna go down because we're all gonna pay whatever percentage of students we have, we pay that amount of money in. Newfane has the largest percentage in Brookline. So we'll be paying the highest percentage and we have the lowest cost. So common sense tells you that we're gonna be paying more. And just at the elementary school level, I just basically looked at the 5 elementary school budgets and added up the number of students divided by the budget and came out with, it's like $100,000 more that Newfane's gonna pay. Right off the bat. They're saying we'll save right off the bat, it was something like $3,500 on auditing because it'll only be one big district, so all the little audits we won't have to pay for. The other one was bookkeeping. They were going to save $35,000 there. Something there was like 50,000, 35, and it was like they were going to save altogether. They were going to save $125,000 through combining all this stuff together. All the kids will be getting everything they already have in Newfane and Brookline and all the other schools. They say it's supposed to be equitable, not equal. So therefore, if my concern was we have guidance and the nurse in the building more than the other elementary schools, and for sex ed and different other things, and my concern was that we were going to lose that along with some other things that we have that other schools don't have, and some of the schools also had the same concerns. But they said equitable does not mean equal, so you'll keep what you have, you'll just pay the same amount as everybody else. So
Yeah, I don't like losing more control over towns like this. I mean,
I'm not crazy about it, but if it's gonna be better for the kids, I'm all for it.
if it's gonna be better for the kids, but it's just like what is Act 60 and all that, where we're all considered rich towns and
Right.
we're sending up to Burlington, I think it's supposed to be a poor town. But they're all striking right now for $73,000 a year. They're the highest paid teachers in the state. They want more money, but we're sending our money up there, because we're rich towns. I mean,
Well,
we should be protesting them too.
And that's the other thing, what we raise in taxes in Newfane, we send out more to the Department of Ed than we get back.
That's what I said, you
Right.
kept your own money that you had to raise here.
So now we'll just be sending more up and getting the same amount back.
Right. I don't like it, I mean, I never liked that whole school system, I think it sucks, I mean. And I think we ought to be, if we used to be, when you had your own school district right here, school boards, you come up to us and said, we need $1 million to run our school, that's what we spent.
Right.
We didn't have to raise 2 and send another $1 million to the state.
Right.
I mean, town of Stratton sends them $18 million per student. It figured up like $450,000 per kid to educate them. I said, I'm better off give the kid 200 grand, say stay home, you don't need to go to school. You're already a millionaire by the time you get to 12th grade. Right?
Don't hold back, Mike.
Well, when it comes to the state, I've had just about enough of them, and I think
So
it's
anyway,
ridiculous.
Act
what they're doing.
46, there's a study committee going on, they meet twice a month. It's usually like every other Wednesday, I think the next one is the 19th, which is this Wednesday. Unfortunately, I won't be there because by law, I have to be up in Fairleigh for the school board chair, superintendent, 8-hour training that's required by law once a year.
So what does our representative think of all this? Where does she stand on it?
Which one?
Emily.
Emily.
Emily helped draft it.
That's what I thought.
Emily's all for consolidation. And like I said, if it was, if the kid, if it was more, if I honestly thought the kids would get more out of it, I'd be 100% behind it. I'm trying to keep an open mind. I'm on the committee, Emily Long's on the committee, Kim Werner is on the committee, and Ian Dope. And also Neil Pulser are the 5 from Newfane that are on the committee. And so far, they're just getting into drafting the stuff to send it up to the state. The object of this thing is to get a package ready to come to vote on town meeting day. So if you want to get the word out, we have it out on, well, BCTV televises all their meetings. Thank you. We also have it on the Newbrook Facebook page, and it should be on the school website, and on the WCSU website. There's any information, and there's links to the broadcasts. I suggest watch a couple of them, get the gist of what's going on.
Where does the rest of your board stand on it?
The board's kind of really not crazy about it, but the board, it's up to the, it's just one of those things where it goes to the public.
Yeah, but
And even on the committee, there has to be a board member on the committee, but the board, I'm not there as
A representative.
a representative of the board, I'm here as a representative of the community.
But the board, if they're not for it, should get together and put an article in the Reformer or Commons, do
Right.
something that says to the people in Newfane, look, this is what's coming down the pike. We're not really for this, the reasons why we're not for this, so that people understand it.
Absolutely.
As you know, education is the key.
And
So, yeah, the more you can educate the citizens, the more you can educate people around you, the better.
that's one of the reasons why we get the word out, have people, you know. In my personal, and this is my personal opinion, from everything I've seen, it's the same exact thing as the red. And I love when the state promises, we're gonna give you these incentives. We're gonna give you 8 cents off your tax, you know, dollar amount, then we're gonna cut it down to 6, then we're gonna cut it down to 4, then 2. Then, you know, by the 5th year, you're back to where you should have been when you started, and then you'll see the big increase. But you're not gonna notice it because it's only gonna go up a little every year. Well, they're considering that without any cost of any kind of inflation, any kind of, you know, major projects that would have to be done in any of the schools that would raise that budget and whatnot, you know what I mean? I mean, we know where we stand down at Newbrook because we know what's been done. And, you know, we have a new roof, we have a brand new heating system, we know where the plumbing stands and all this other stuff, so we know where we're at, we know we're in good shape that way. As far as, I don't know what Townsend's building is gonna need next, I don't know, you know. So, that's gonna be stuff that's just gonna be thrown in there. And so don't be also don't be surprised if you see like a new board election in March too. Because apparently what'll happen is they're gonna, if this goes through, they will dissolve all the school boards and like have so many members. I think it's actually gonna be 4 from Newfane on the big board. And, you know, they're gonna slice it up according to population. So that's where that's at. We do have, if the town votes it down, the board can write the state a letter stating why they should not be put in this structure. The problem with Newbrook is that we've already consolidated. You know, we took the 2 districts and made them pretty much into one district. It's 2 separate districts, but they're a contract district. And we've already, that's how we maintain our lower budget when things got really rough. You know, I mean, the one year it was looking really bad when things were coming. And they just decided, okay, well, we'll close Brookline School and we'll just all come together into one school. It just made sense, and it worked. I mean, we share a post office, we share a fire department, you know, and it worked out beautifully. It would have been beautiful. Townsend and Jamaica were actually in talks back during when the red study was going on about forming a contract district. And if they would have done that back then, their costs would have been down, and it wouldn't have been, as far as economically, it wouldn't have made a difference. Because it would have brought them to comparable to where we are right now and where Wyndham is, so that the elementary school budgets would have all been about the same, that there wouldn't have been a big impact. But it just kills me that they turn around and they say, okay, we're gonna give you this 8, that 8's, all that, to me, all that says is your taxes are guaranteed to go up a minimum of, 2 cents a year per thousand, or, however the CLA figures all that out. It's like you're automatically gonna go up 8 cents in 4 years, so. When the state offers to give you something, say no. That's what I've said for years, say no. They want to give it to you, say no, because there's a string attached. And it's going to cost you in the long run. So, that's where those two, and anybody have any questions for me on it? Or
I just wanted to
I
say
knew there
that
would be.
the education tax rate did go down this year. That maybe you didn't realize that because the town tax rate went up. But the education tax rate did go down this year.
Well, it's going to, well then, bye.
That's just the carrot, so that next year it'll go up.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, certainly the governor's race revolves around some of these issues. And then I know, reading as best as I can in various places, is this truly voluntary or is this really mandatory? And it seems like getting a straight answer on that is rather difficult.
Well, it is, no, it's voluntary that you get into the study. But it's mandatory that if you don't study anything, they're going to throw you where they want to.
That's it, yeah.
Which, bottom line, for us, since we go to Leland and Gray, and they want to have a K-12 district, that's where we would get thrown anyway. The only difference we have is, by being there, I can at least make sure that, while I'm on there, that they don't cut anything from the kids in Newfane. You know what I mean? And that's the only benefit of studying it. And which is another thing too, is they're giving all these grants out for all these districts to study Act 46. Okay, hire a consultant, you got, I think it's $20,000, $40,000, whatever it is, all these districts have this money. Okay, where's the money coming from? It comes from the education fund. Where does the education fund get their money from? The towns. So, if they didn't spend all that money to do all these, voluntary studies, it would bring the tax rates down too. Same thing with the red. The red was the same thing. They did this red thing. They spent, the state sent, all this money out to all different towns to study. And I think they formed, I don't know, I'm guessing like 4. Wound up, maybe, that I know of, there was 4 that actually formed, but I know there was probably like 8 in the state. And it was just, it didn't pan out the way they thought, that everyone was going to jump on this wagon because there was, they were going to save. It was the same incentive too. It was the 8, 6, and they thought everyone was going to go for it because of that. And then they decided, well, now we'll just make it mandatory because. And in all honesty, they're going to save money because they're not going to have as many school board members. Okay, figure that one out. I think the highest ones get paid, and I think the other one, they get paid $700 a year or something like that. We get $200 a year in Newfane and Brookline, and so. But they're going to save money on that. But then again, we don't know what they're going to pay the new ones, so, they're going to have a lot more work because they have, K through 12 now. Who knows?
Okay, thanks for coming.
All righty.
Thank you very much.
Absolutely.
And like I said, please look up those sites at least and spread the word that it's going to come to it's going to be a vote, and apparently we're a necessary town that if we don't vote for it, it can't go through. Which I honestly, it'll go through anyway. We'll just, instead of being we'll be an advisory board, whatever, you know, that, which means that you can speak your piece but don't have a vote.
Hey Ken, you guys ever thought of using these guys to do your school board meetings too?
We thought about it, and it just doesn't make any sense to have them there to do it. We have our minutes out. We don't cover as wide a thing as you guys do. And anything that we do, like the Act 46 stuff that we do, is all televised anyway, and it's right from their meetings.
Right.
And the only thing we do is we do at our meetings, every month I just do an update. This is what happened at the last meeting.
Well, I guess what I was almost thinking, say if these boroughs meetings were done between now and town meeting, when you bring it up to the school board down here, the locals, people that, you know, vote them in or whatever, you know, sees it in town to see what their thoughts were and maybe make their decisions when they vote on this thing, you know?
And
I
also.
mean, I appreciate you coming in tonight. I mean, I think it's great that you come in and told us between a solar field and this both, you know? But I mean, this is a big issue, this Act 46, and just like you said, once the state gets their hands on it, it just goes haywire anyways, it always has, so.
And the nice thing, even if you considered having your select board meetings on BCPDA, even a temporary trial type of a thing until the election, it's a way of educating, getting the word out to the public. It's a better view. You get the newspapers, more involved. It's just, I think it might be advantageous, but I don't know. But at least it's a tool of educating and getting citizens more involved. And you might consider that.
Any elementary school board that televises. Leland and Gray televises.
Brattleboro Town School Board does.
Brattleboro Town School Board does. And they also do their Act 46 ones also, so. And that's pretty much the same board though. Right, well, they have the board and then they have the committee.
Yeah.
But we discussed that in the past, and the board felt that it wasn't a good idea to do it at the time. So, I mean, I don't know, maybe we might just want to just like spend a whole lot more money on the school district, and then we'll have the same cost per student as everybody else. Maybe they won't want us. But we wouldn't do that to you guys, just kidding. Thanks.
Thank you
Yes,
very
All
much.
right, thank you.
Okay, old business, property mapping bids. Doris?
Yes, you received 3 bids a couple weeks ago from Cartographic Technologies in Putney, CAI Technologies in Littleton, New Hampshire, and Russell Graphics from Raleigh, North Carolina. And I had Jeff Nugent from Wyndham Regional Commission. He reviewed the bids to ensure compliance with the new state mapping standards, which are going to be implemented at the end of 2017. We also called for references on these people, the different ones. And our recommendation to the Board of Listers is to accept the one from Cartographic Technologies in Putney for a total amount of $14,620.
Can you repeat that?
There's the $14,620. The other ones were CAI Technologies was $18,150. Russell Graphics was $19,500.
And these are the ones we opened our last meeting.
That's correct. That's correct.
So you're looking for a motion from the board to
Right.
approve the one from Carter Graphics?
Cartographic Technologies in Putney.
Easy for you
Can
to
you
say.
spell it?
Let's not get that far.
Yeah.
$14,620 is the amount.
$14,620. And there'll be, every year there'll be in the budget,
Right.
something in the budget for updating the maps. And to let you know, I double checked the reappraisal fund and reduced, if I take out the reappraisal that Bill Kojewski's doing. Add in the money we get from parcel. Every year we get a certain amount of money from parcel, $8.50 a parcel, which I heard today that the state's gonna reduce that now. Surprise. And we also purchased a computer through that money and this mapping. We should have about $16,000 or $20,000 still left in the account. So we're not depleting the account by doing this. And we had very good recommendations about this company. And I don't know if you realize that the state, again, here we go with the state, is doing a state mapping. And we're one of the few towns that doesn't have digitized maps. And the state has a program where they would do our mapping and it wouldn't cost us anything.
Really?
But they're not gonna get it done until probably the beginning of next year, maybe, not 2017, but 2018. And they're not really gonna give the product that we're looking for. And when you think about it, the state money, we're using reappraisal funds, which is state money anyway. And I'd rather, for us, I'd rather see it get done at a reappraisal time. And the state hasn't really completed all their standards that they're thinking about, you know, so it's like, let's just do it. We got the bids.
Somebody wanna make a motion?
Yeah. Move to accept the bid for cartographic Technologies Inc. of Putney in the amount of $14,620 to provide lister services for the town of Newfane.
I second.
Motion's been made and seconded
That's for tax mapping.
to approve the bid from Cartographic Technologies in Putney, Vermont, for the sum of $14,620. Is there any other discussion?
Is that not to exceed $14,620 or is that the flat amount?
Well, I had to add up from the thing that there's different items which he put in the bid. So I included all of them except there's a list two, which the page, if you look at their bid, has some costs for after the annual maintenance costs and stuff like that, which that's not included because that wouldn't be for that. And
We'll
he
see
can-
that next year.
Yeah, and he can start as soon as there's a signed contract.
Well, these tax maps, where are they kept?
The digitized tax maps?
They're kept just
In
on
the
the
lister's
computer
office.
and they could be, I'm trying to think if a citizen has access to those.
Well, there'll be access for the zoning, there'll be
It can also be on
access
the
for,
website.
yeah, it can be on the website, it can be a lot of places, so, yeah.
It's a short step from this to putting in a front end to it that people can go in and search their own land records.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
would be important.
Because right now it's, yeah,
Not able to do that.
no.
Okay.
And you can have different layers on the tax map, topography and so forth and all that type of thing, so,
Are you ready to vote?
yeah.
All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed or abstaining? The ayes have it.
Thank you
So you're gonna
very
get a
much.
contract for us to sign, or are we signing that
Well,
tonight? Or?
no, he doesn't, you get 3 bids until you tell him who got the bid. You don't have a contract to sign. Okay, thank you very much.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Doris, for the work you do.
Down to personnel policy amendments, attorney recommendations. Shannon said the attorney hasn't had a chance to look at it yet, so we should table that until the next meeting.
Motion to table, till a time certain.
Is there a second?
Second.
I second.
Motion's been made and seconded to table the personnel policy amendments until the next meeting. Any discussion?
Shannon, did he give a reason?
No, it just hasn't gotten to it yet.
He just said he hasn't gotten to it, that's it?
Yep, we talked last week, so he was gonna work on it, but
Did he give you any idea when he's going to get to it?
no, I'll call him tomorrow. Just checking it.
All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed or abstaining? The ayes have it. The only correspondence that I have is this Brattleboro Development Credit Corporation I think we all got the same thing, so I'm not gonna read it. That's the only correspondence we have, Sharon?
That's it.
Okay, so we're down to pay orders.
Thank you very
Okay.
much for coming.
Thank
Oh,
you.
you're welcome, sharing this time with us.
Quality time.